Yes, good morning. Today we are going to see price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand is a responsiveness of demand due to price changes. In order to understand the concept of price elasticity of demand, it is important first to understand the law of demand. In our previous lesson, we have studied the law of demand. The law of demand states that assessing remaining constant, when price rises, demand will decrease, and when price falls, demand will increase. This is the law of demand. It establishes the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. Now, when price rises, we know that demand will decrease. And when price falls, we know that demand will increase. But do we know by what percentage or by how much demand is going to change when price changes? We know that when price rises, demand will decrease. And when price falls, demand will increase. But do we know by what percentage or by how much demand is going to change when price changes? If we want to know by what percentage or by how much demand is going to change when price changes, we have to use the concept of price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand is a tool, is a measure which helps us to know by what percentage or by how much demand will change when price changes. Price elasticity of demand is a responsiveness of demand due to price changes. How demand responds to a change in price. This is price elasticity of demand. Now let us see how do we calculate price elasticity of demand. That is how we are going to calculate by what percentage or by how much demand is going to change when price changes. There are two methods to calculate price elasticity of demand. We have the first one, percentage method, and the second one we have the proportionate method. For the time being, we are going to concentrate, to focus only on the formula, how to calculate and so on, and later on we will come back with the computation of price elasticity of demand. Now the percentage method, price elasticity of demand can be calculated by the percentage method. Price elasticity of demand is equal to percentage change in demand over percentage change in price. This is a percentage method. We have to calculate the percentage change in demand and the percentage change in price. We get the answer for price elasticity of demand. Or still we can calculate price elasticity of demand by using the proportionate method. In the proportionate method, we have formula change in quantity over original quantity, change in price over original price. In fact, both formula will have to give you the same answer because both formula is going to calculate price elasticity of demand. Now, when we calculate price elasticity of demand, we can get an answer greater than 1, we can get an answer less than 1, or we can get an answer which is equal to 1. So if the coefficient of price elasticity of demand is greater than 1, that is, the percentage change in demand will be greater than the percentage change in price. If we get a coefficient of price elasticity of demand which is greater than 1, we say that demand is elastic. If the coefficient of price elasticity of demand is greater than 1, we say that demand is elastic. What we mean when we say elastic demand, it means that a small change in price will cause a big change in quantity demanded. For example, if the price of cars falls, demand will increase by a big percentage. The percentage change in demand will be greater than the percentage change in price. So, in case price elasticity of demand is greater than 1, we say that demand is elastic. In case the coefficient of price elasticity of demand is less than 1, we say that the percentage change in demand is less than the percentage change in price. In this case, we say that demand is inelastic. In case the coefficient of price elasticity of demand is less than 1, we say that demand is inelastic. Inelastic demand means a small change in price will not cause a big change in demand. Demand will not change by a big percentage when price changes. Then demand, in case the coefficient of price elasticity of demand is equal to 1, that is the percentage change in demand is equal to the percentage change in price, we say that demand is unitary elastic. In this case, the coefficient of price elasticity of demand is equal to 1. Further, demand can be perfectly inelastic. In case demand is perfectly inelastic, price elasticity of demand is equal to 0. This means that at any given price, the quantity demanded will remain the same. Price rises or price falls, quantity demanded will remain the same. In this case, price elasticity of demand is equal to 0. Demand can be perfectly elastic. This means that at a given price, there is no limit to quantity demanded. At a given price, there is no limit to quantity demanded. So in this case, the price elasticity of demand will be equal to infinity. So all these perfectly elastic, perfectly inelastic demand, we will demonstrate it through a diagram in our next video. For the time being, we are going to focus on price elasticity of demand. So demand can be elastic, demand can be inelastic, demand can be unitary elastic, demand can be perfectly inelastic, demand can be perfectly elastic. So we know that in case the coefficient of price elasticity of demand is greater than 1, we say that demand is elastic. Elastic demand means a small change in price will cause a big change in demand. It applies for luxuries. If the price of video game falls, its demand will increase to a big extent. The percentage change in demand will be greater than the percentage change in price. In case the coefficient of price elasticity of demand is less than 1, we say that demand is inelastic. What does it mean, inelastic demand? It applies for necessities, goods which people are compelled to buy. For example, if the price of rice rises, its demand will not fall to a big extent because people will be compelled to buy rice, which is a necessity. So we say the demand for rice is inelastic. The demand for cars is elastic. Unitary elastic demand, in this case the coefficient of price elasticity of demand will be equal to 1. That is, the percentage change in demand will equal to the percentage change in price. For unitary elastic demand, this applies to goods which people buy in fixed quantities. For example, color television set Once a color television set is bought, it will not be bought again, but after a long period of time. So we can say that the demand is unitary elastic. Now, let us see how a businessman or a firm will use the concept of price elasticity of demand in order to raise revenue. If the demand for a product is elastic, it means that a small change in price will cause a big change in demand. So in this case, the firm will have to be very cautious when the goods have elastic demand. In this case, the firm will have to reduce prices in order to maximize revenue. For example, if the price of video game falls, its demand will increase to a big extent. But if a firm is selling goods which have elastic demand and it raises price in order to maximize revenue, the firm will fail because total revenue will fall to a big extent. When price rises, so consumers are not compelled to buy video games. Because it is not a necessity, demand will fall to a big extent, so the firm will get less revenue or even can incur losses. So when demand is elastic, we have to reduce prices in order to increase revenue. In case demand is inelastic, that is, the firm is selling necessities, so in this case, the firm can increase prices in order to maximize revenue. For example, the firm can raise the price of rice in order to maximize profit because people will be compelled to buy rice, which is a necessity, even if the price rises. So when demand is inelastic, the firm will have to raise prices in order to maximize revenue. If the firm reduces prices for inelastic goods, the firm will incur losses. Total revenue will fall because people will buy more or less the same quantity for goods which have inelastic demand. In case demand is unitary elastic, that is, the percentage change in demand is equal to the percentage change in price, in this case, total revenue will remain constant. The firm will have to leave prices unchanged in case it is selling goods which have unitary elastic demand. Now we are going to make a recapitulation of what we studied so far concerning price elasticity of demand. We have seen the meaning of price elasticity of demand. It is a responsiveness of demand due to price changes. In other words, it measures the percentage change in demand as a result of a percentage change in price. We have seen the formula how to calculate price elasticity of demand. We have two ways to calculate price elasticity of demand. We have the percentage method, that is, price elasticity of demand is equal to percentage change in demand over percentage change in price. Or we can use a proportionate method, change in quantity over original quantity, change in price over original price. In our next lesson, it will be more explicit, this part, computation of price elasticity of demand. Then we will show you how to calculate price elasticity of demand. And we have seen demand, the coefficient of price elasticity of demand. It can be 1, it can be greater than 1, or it can be less than 1. And we have seen also how to interpret the coefficient of price elasticity of demand. In case the coefficient of price elasticity of demand is less than 1, we say that demand is inelastic. That is, it applies for necessities. goods which people are compelled to buy even if the price is high. And we have seen the coefficient of elasticity of demand when it is greater than 1. In this case, we say that demand is elastic. People are not forced to buy the product. If the price rises, people will stop buying the goods, or demand will reduce to a big extent. So we have seen also the coefficient of price elasticity of demand when it is equal to 1. In this case, we say that demand is unitary elastic. We have also seen how a firm will maximize revenue by using the concept of price elasticity of demand. It is important for a firm to have a knowledge of price elasticity of demand in order to maximize revenue. In case a firm is dealing with goods which have inelastic demand, it can raise prices in order to maximize revenue. If it is dealing with goods which have elastic demand, it will have to reduce prices in order to maximize revenue. And if it is dealing with goods which are unitary elastic, so in this case it will have to leave prices unchanged in order to maximize revenue. In the next lesson, we will come to see the computation of price elasticity of demand using the percentage method and the proportionate method. And we will use diagram also to indicate perfectly inelastic demand, perfectly elastic demand, and so on. Until then, goodbye. Thank you for your attention.